And we're live, brother. How you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good, man. We're about less than 24 hours before kickoff of the spring game. Probably a little bit more than 24 hours before the Lady Volleyball Longhorns play for a national championship. It was a hell of a game last night. I usually don't stay up that late, but it was like you got a little worried into that third set. But once you're up 2-0, man, it's hard for another team to sweep you 3 sets after that. So definitely excited about that tomorrow. I know you threw out some questions here about, what are you excited to see tomorrow during the spring game? I'm telling you, I was excited to watch that All Access. If you got Longhorn Network and you had an opportunity to watch the All Access, I was telling Jeremy that it seems like you had more access to players and coaches over the last couple of weeks in the spring practice than I felt like I had over the last couple of years. Everything wasn't really watered down. I loved how Steve Sarkisian said, hey, both quarterbacks have at it. Let them interview you. Let's talk about a quarterback competition going into the spring game. I think that creates a lot of growth. And if you haven't had an opportunity to go listen to that interview, you can find it on YouTube. But man, I tell you what, Casey Thompson stole the show for that one. And I told Jeremy the same thing, man. You can just tell he's a little bit more mature. He's been around football for a long time. He speaks really, really, really well. I think it's really going to be really, really hard for Hudson Card to unseat, to me, Casey Thompson. But we'll see how they move the offense moving forward. And I think it's all about details down at this particular point. Your thoughts, man?
No, excited just like you were. Watched the All Access. Really enjoyed a lot of that stuff. Like I said, Steve Sark. Some of my favorite moments from All Access from Longhorn Network was basically Steve Sarkisian calling out Jacoby Jones for being a junior college player and him telling him, hey, man, I've been on campus for 2 years. Kyle Flood, you can tell these guys are, like you said, they're national championship coaches that feel comfortable on camera. Alabama's been on ESPN a couple of years ago. I remember that. So all these guys are comfortable around the camera. And like you said, they're going to coach. I don't know how Jeff Banks has a voice when he gets home because he's hollering from the moment he gets on the football field to the moment that he leaves. But like you said, just the kids opening up, the two starting quarterbacks or the two quarterbacks competing for the job, being on the same interview session, essentially, they got released on the same day is kind of, hey, let's see what happens here. Like I said, these guys are coming here not with an ego, but understand how good they are as coaches, how they want to run this program. A lot of time you wouldn't get an access to a Hudson Card, without in the old regime, if he hadn't had any substantial playing time. Same thing with Casey, with him being in the program as long as he has, really hadn't had substantial playing time. So the old regime, even back to the Mac Brown days, you didn't talk on camera until you were, had a lot of experience, and he felt comfortable with you getting in front of the camera. So yeah, there truly is all access, like you said.
I think it's good too, man. Again, I think that's part of that competition. Here, dudes, y'all got the camera today. They're going to ask the questions. I won't get into some of the questions they asked. I think some of them were, ridiculous to say the least. I think there could have probably been some better questions asked. But to me, this is going to go on into probably the last week of summer, going into the fall. We'll see who the starting quarterback is, but I tell you what, it's exciting to have one at this particular point, a competition, a quarterback competition. So I can tell you they're about to find out details. It's what you can see. It's all detailed. And watching AJ Milwee, also in access, man, staying on those guys and be able to explain, in detail what each quarterback needs to do when they're throwing that ball, man. And I can tell you, I just seen it pop up here. We haven't seen him here for a while, so we're going to welcome you back. Welcome a couple of people back I haven't seen here in a while. Jay Paul is back. Jay Paul is back. We'll give him 3 this time. Do you think McLeak will drop to 3-star after stepping up to varsity? We'll kind of see where that is at the end of next year when he has an opportunity to play a full varsity season, hopefully. So a long way to go on that, J. Paul, but good question, man. I kind of told Jeremy, man, I feel like I ain't seen, hopefully I answered that well enough. I haven't seen Cody Phillips on here in a while, man, our stats guy. Welcome back, Cody, man. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. You probably maybe have been listening to us, just not commenting very much, but man, we appreciate you being back, man. You're one of the original guys on here, man. But definitely.
Along with Noah Ford and working
Noah
man.
Ford, yeah.
KD 35. Yeah, it's good to have the family back together. but yeah, just I popped up a question in Twitter just recently saying, hey, and I knew what the answer was going to be. If I could have wrote quarterback, I probably could in Twitter, and they would have got all the votes. But basically, what position group? And I think Working Man asked us off the jump who's going to the spring game tomorrow. Myself and Clint will be there. We were just talking about our travel plans, exactly what time we want to get there to get in line. Again, me coming down from Copper's Cove and him coming up from San Antonio, just kind of meeting at a designated spot and then walking in together. But we'll be there tomorrow, Working Man. We'll shoot out a tweet, let you know what section we're in. If you guys want to come by and visit with us, of course, that'd be great. We'd love to meet you guys in person. But through a question out there, what position group or players are you guys looking most forward to seeing tomorrow? And again, I knew when I asked the question, it'd be dominated by the quarterback position because, again, that's the most important position on the football team, and it's unproven at this point who's going to be the guy in the fall. But the position groups I put on there were offensive line, again, an unproven commodity at this point, linebacker, and then I put safety in there. But so you guys' thoughts, keep putting those things in the comments box, who you're excited to see as far as players and who you're excited to see as far as position groups, so we can discuss them.
Gene Ward asked a good question. Do you buy the theory that if Card gets the starting job, Casey will transfer, but if Casey gets it, Card won't because he's a redshirt freshman? Personally, I think that's unrealistic thinking in this world. I know that Steve Sarkisian has to make the best decision on what's best for the football team. And what happens after that may have second, third order effects with quarterbacks transferring. You see it now in basketball. Basketball has turned into a free agency over the last couple of weeks. Guys transfer, guys, get in the transfer portal, and a half a second later, they're on a basketball team. And it's happening in football. You had Mike Wood, Arkansas wide receiver, put out a statement that he's going to be transferring from University of Arkansas, and then within a couple of minutes, he's playing for University of Oklahoma, and he might play in their spring game tomorrow. We'll see. But that's kind of where you're at right at this particular point, So to me, it's you have to. He's going to make the best decision on what's best for the University of Texas football team, who his best quarterback is, and there may be second, third order effects to that. Your thoughts, man? I
really wanted to take this one off the jump, and I kind of talked about it on the last live. Because this quarterback competition is a new competition, I don't feel like any one of them. We'll see tomorrow. First game's tomorrow against. Again, it's a glorified scrimmage. Somebody said that with beer on Twitter earlier. But again, I think you're going to see him challenge them. He's going to see what throws they can make. He's going to ask PK to show them some pressure looks to make them uncomfortable. But I really feel like with the lack of experience by both guys, I think the sensible thing to do is take this competition up till 10 games or 10 days till the season starts. And I've said that multiple times. Like, the guy has to know in the game prep week for Louisiana that he's the guy. But up until that point, keep this thing a meritocracy. Keep this thing practice to practice, competition to competition, drill to drill. I think this will put it better for the football team short term, and kind of in some similar, and I've heard this on other programs, it kind of keeps that guy. You don't want to string anybody along with false hope. But at the same time, if it gets 10 games to the season starts, then you may see somebody sit out a year, but I really don't think, and listen to Casey Thompson talk and listen to Hudson Card talk, I really believe they're Texas guys through and through. And I don't think either one of them will transfer. But you got to be shooting yourself in the foot if you make a decision on a quarterback right now and kind of gave that kid the opportunity to do that. And what I'm saying is, don't hold the kid hostage. If you know he's not going to play, you need to tell him that. But at the same time, if he's competing for a job and you think he could be the guy, then keep this thing going till late summer.
To me, they both said it. It's making them both better moving forward, because you don't want to be outplayed in practice. And if it's on every snap they're watching, they're trying to be better and better and better, and they're trying to compete for a position, and it does nothing but make the team better. I think you're probably going to see the same thing with the offensive line. One thing I want to shout out real quick, P.O. Davian, he's on Twitter. He's asked a couple of questions on here, man, but he retweets our stuff a lot. So want to just shout out to him real quick, man. We really, really do appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Davian, for doing that for us.
For supporting us.
He's talking about,
Absolutely.
Do you think our defense could be the best defense in the conference? I think it has an opportunity to be the best defense in the conference because if you go back and look at it, it's minimal. The losses are minimal compared to, what are we looking at? Cade Stern, who would have been a starter. And then you're looking at Joseph Osai, who would have been a starter. Taquan TQ, we lost TQ. We lost, who is it, to the a couple of guys, man, to the transfer portal, linebacker position, defensive line position. But like Pete Kwiatkowski said on All Access today, man, can't nobody stop you, Albert Collins. You're the only ones that can stop you, man. And I think having a defensive line like we currently have, or an opportunity to have a defensive line like we have, is going to prove big time. And I think I really feel comfortable right now where we're at the cornerback and the safety position. So yeah, I think it's an opportunity. We'll see. Obviously, a new scheme, new coach, new coordinator. Anytime that happens, it's going to take, just like you've seen Chris Ash last year. It started off a little bit ugly. The big thing I'm concerned with is, can they tackle out the gate? Can you tackle? Because in the Big 12, it's bend, don't break. Make them drive down the field, make mistakes, and then hopefully you can get a turnover. The tackling is obviously going to be a number one priority going into the season. But yeah, I definitely think that we'll see. I can tell you the Big 12 one of the reasons Pete Kwiatkowski came to Texas is because he wanted a challenge. He wanted a challenge, and I think the Big 12 is going to give him a challenge. I think, what was his string of not letting over 20 points or something? That's going to be a challenge in the Big 12. That's going to be a challenge in the Big 12. So we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But I'm really high on this defense, and I think you'll see that tomorrow in the spring game. But again, defense is usually in front of the offense when it comes to the spring game.
So my thoughts are, he asked about, can they be the best defensive unit in the Big 12? There's potential there. But I do think, I know that they truly compete for, or two position groups. Having these two position groups, I think, can be the best in the Big 12. And that's the defensive line, which you talked about before, and the cornerback position. Again, the linebackers are young. DeMarvin Overshown brings back experience, but after that, there's not a whole lot who played in this system with at the University of Texas. And then the safety position. Again, you got B.J. Foster coming back. Jaron Thompson's a young stud who we feel like has a lot of potential. But he didn't get a whole lot of snaps. He got snaps in the last two games, made plays. So if he can bring that into next year, and you can solidify that safety position, solidify a couple of linebackers, then yes, they do that, have the potential to be the best defense in the Big 12. But again, what I feel comfortable in saying is they compete for the best D-line group and best cornerback group going into the 2021-2022 season.
Yeah. And again, Ray Thornton, LSU transfer, I think it's big time, man. Big time get, Darian Dunn, cornerback transfer, Monique State, big time transfer, man. Has opportunity to probably be an NFL cornerback. So bringing these guys in, transfers. And it's not, I don't think at this particular point it's not over. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say, well, we may have a couple of a linebacker or two linebackers. This is what it sounds like at this particular, maybe a two linebackers. One, they entered the transfer portal. There was a 5-star guy that's currently in the transfer portal from USC, maybe looking at Texas. A guy from Alabama, guy from Notre Dame. So you're getting transfers from big time programs, man, to come here. So I don't think the defense is actually filled out at this particular point all the way. I think by the end of the summer into the fall, I think you'll have an idea of exactly what this defense is going to look like. But what we've got, D-Train playing Big 12 style defense will not win the college football playoff. Yeah, you got to be aggressive. You got to have a really good defensive line, man. You got to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. Those are the three biggest things, man. Stop the run, put pressure on the quarterback, make the quarterback make mistakes. You do those things, man, you have an opportunity to win. You have an opportunity to win any game. So
sacks, turnovers, negative plays. He asked Jaylen Ford in that All Access Longhorn Network show. He said, "Hey, man, can you get a pick for me today?" He said, "Coach, they don't throw the ball my way." He said, "Can you knock the ball out? I need turnovers." And then he walked up to every guy after that. Going to give me a turnover? Can you give me a turnover? Can you give me a turnover? And so, yeah, I mean, they're talking that, hey, negative plays, turnovers, sacks. That's like you said, you put them behind the chains, all stuff we talked about last year. You get them off schedule, get them down the distance, and then you can make some hay. But, hey, there's 40 people in here right now, 14 likes. Please hit that like button. TFT's done one show in 2 weeks. We're getting back after it. We got a ball game tomorrow. I call it a ball game. It's popping pads, orange versus white. Spring game, we'll be there. Hope you're going to be there. But please hit that like button. Please continue to tell folks about us. If you see us tomorrow, if you're going out, please holler at us. We'd love to meet you.
Yeah, Working Man brought up a good point, man. And it's all about injuries too. And I think I think I read a while ago there's 4 guys that are going to be out because of injury, and then Troy O'Meara will be, I think, in a green uni, quick whistle guy. But I think that's tomorrow. Tomorrow is limiting the injuries moving forward into the summer. You want a full acclimated guys. Moving into so injuries is obviously a big thing going into the season as well. That's a good point. Timothy Wooten talking about, I'm deeply concerned about that wide receiver room.
I'm not.
For some reason, I'm not either, man. I think you're going to get 5-star. I think you're going to get 5-star Jordan Whittington, man. I really do. I think that's one. Obviously, Jake is hurt. I just watched, a clip of Casey Thompson throwing a to a wide open Dixon in the Colorado game. I just think there's speed all over the field, man. I think there's speed. I think they're going to be able to find speed, and if there's not speed, he's going to find a way to get them open. And I think they're excited about this offense, man.
Whittington, Dixon, O'Meara, and Joshua Moore.
Yep. And then Washington.
Jake Smith. And then, yes, Washington. And Washington, they're saying they're getting a lot of play out of Washington. That was exciting, too, watching that tight end room, how Jeff Banks kind of picked on Gunnar Helm when he said sled 1, helm 0, and then he made him get back down in his stance and hit it again. That's a great program, guys. If you have Longhorn Network and you haven't watched the new All Access that came out today at 5 Central Time, check that out. It's freaking awesome. But watching that tight end room, Jared Wiley and Malcolm Epps, and I think if you're worried about the wide receiver room, you have the tight end depth, I think, at this point to really be able to use and solidify those guys and their body types to pick on defensive backs and linebackers as well. But yeah, I'm really comfortable with Whittington, Dixon, O'Meara, and Moore. And then, like you say, you got Jake Smith, who will be back for the regular season, probably back by earlier midsummer camp to be getting after it.
They're talking about defense. I want to kind of go back to defense real quick because they're having a nice conversation here. I think it'll take, Cody Phillips comes in. He says, I think it'll take some adjustment for me as a fan. So used to bend, don't break defense, and this is going to be attacking. What my only concern when you have a defense like that is, are you in position 1? Because if you're attacking, it makes you a little bit more vulnerable in the back end. Because you're consistently attacking. Then we go to me, turnovers. Do you get turnovers in your head to a point where it becomes an issue? And I'll bring up the team up north. Obviously that's what that defense is. That Branch runs up. Oklahoma is that quick D attacking defense where you're trying to get those turnovers. And I think you sometimes put yourself in a situation where you're trying to create turnovers and you're not playing as fast as what you should play. And I don't think you want that to be an issue going forward. I think turnovers will come if you're attacking, but also putting yourself in a situation where you're able to play fast and not become vulnerable. That's the only concern about this defense and having attacking defense is that you put yourself in a situation where you may become vulnerable on some plays if you're not in the right position.
Vulnerable if you don't get there, because again, it's based upon pressure up the middle in the quarterback's face. And if you get them off schedule, get them when they're supposed to have a 3-step drop, and they can't get to 3, and they have to step outside the pocket or step up in the pocket, throws on time. That allows for Darian Dunn, Deshaun Jameson, those guys on the back end, Chris Adamora, Anthony Cook, to have a little bit more leniency. Whereas you're just playing 4-man front, let the quarterback have time, stay on schedule, quarterback can't reroute the receivers, then it becomes an issue. But those two things have to meld, like you said, to be a successful defense. Like you have to have the pressure that allows you not to be as vulnerable on the back end. And that's when you'll see those things marry up. And that's when you'll see, like you said, PK's defense holding teams consistently under 20 points. And with Sarkisian's offense, if PK can hold the opponent's offenses to less than 20 points, I feel pretty good about the end result of the ball game in our favor. So we'll see. But yeah, get that pressure up the middle, use Alfred Collins and those studs, Devondre Sweat, Coburn, and those big dogs, let them eat, let them work. And then, like you say, you got a guy like Thornton and Jacoby Jones coming off the edge, and that's without bringing any linebackers like a Dio, DeMarvin Overshone, or something like that. So let those two marry up. My burn orange glasses are getting larger and thicker as we talk, but just excited about, again, All Access got me excited to see the guys back on the field, talking with the coaches, seeing the game plan start to formulate itself.
So AA Mac, I'm not sure if I've seen you before on here. Welcome to the show. Knowing what y'all know outside of injuries, what is the realistic worst case scenario that we could see tomorrow? I'll start first on this. I don't think there's a realistic worst case scenario. Obviously, again, injuries is something you don't want to me. So to minimize injuries, but there's always going to be a winner and a loser in these games, and both of them are going to be Texas Longhorns. That's the thing about it. So to me, I think it's a win for the defense if they get a turnover. It's a loss for the offense if they give the defense a turnover. So in these spring games, I think it's how fluid does the offense look. But if the offense looks fluid, how bad is the defense? So I think when you take these spring games, I think you have to take them with a grain of salt. I think for us, for me and Jeremy, probably in our note taking tomorrow is probably going to be, what does the two deep look like? What does the three deep look like? Who's playing where positions? Who's playing where? Where's the linebacker line up? In this defense versus where they lined up in Chris Ash's and Todd Orlando's defense. Are they playing man defense up on the line of scrimmage, or are they playing soft coverage or whatever the case may be? And I don't think they're going to show their hand in its entirety, and that's the other thing you got to worry about too. There's only so much ball they can play tomorrow, and I don't think they're going to show it all on film, obviously. But to me, there really not a worst case scenario. To me, it's probably going to injuries would be the worst case scenario if you get multiple injuries out of the spring game.
No, and somebody asked us that I posted on Twitter. I was like, hey, who are you looking to see? And they were like, I want to see these guys show out. But that's the complexity of a spring game. For the defensive line to get a sack, that means an offensive lineman gave up a pressure. And so you're not looking for as much growth within position groups, but individual growth. Like you said, that Andre Carey was able to do this and look like this against Kansas State and Colorado, and now he looks like this. They were talking specifically on the show today about Junior Angleout, and I think it was Keandre Coburn talking about how he slimmed up and he looks 315, and he's getting tested by him each and every day, talking about that interior line. So again, iron sharpens iron. We talk about it all the time. We expect this D line to be ready when the fall rolls around. How much better has this offensive line looked? And guys are talking about Casey having to run with the. I don't know if one's going to be, and this will be something we'll see tomorrow. And like you said, we'll take notes on it. Is when you have Majors, Angelau, the group that we predict will be that number one line. How many snaps does Casey get with them? How many snaps does Hudson get with them? And see how they perform. And again, we probably won't be able to see that at the game. We'll take notes, but it'll be watching the film when we get back home that we'll be able to solidify. But like tomorrow's more about individual growth. Hey, can you take what you worked on in the conditioning room in the winter, what you've gotten in these 15 practices in the spring, and translate it on the football field? And like you said, it's going to be vanilla. They're not going to put anything on tape that Louisiana is going to be able to use in game one. But it's pad on pad, man on man, seeing how you've grown from when we left you against Colorado to where you are now.
Yeah. Just going back to Jeffrey Kaminsky, he said, how about no zero blitzes on 4th and 17? How about that? Let's not do that, man. To me, that was probably that LSU game, man, was if Texas would have won that game against LSU, we're probably talking different stories at this particular point. I think that game has created where we're at now. Again, and that's what I don't want to see. It's good to have an attacking defense, but I think where Chris Ash was good last year is you didn't know when he was going to bring a zero blitz. He didn't show his hands. You knew that Todd Orlando was always going to bring a zero blitz, regardless of the down and distance. It was that aggressive all the time, it felt like. And I think that you have to there's times to attack and there's times to sit back, man. And I think you cannot show you have to make sure that you're not showing your hand in that the offense is not going to see the zero blitz coming, because if you're looking at Joseph Asai in Oklahoma State last year, I had no clue that was about to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not Chris Ash's mindset. So I think, again, you're getting a guy in Pete Kwiatkowski that probably could have been a head coach a long time ago. That spent 7 years at Washington before that was at Boise State, that nobody thought you were going to get from the West Coast. That's why nobody has ever talked about it. So I'm extremely excited about Pete Kwiatkowski. I'm excited about Jeff Choate, linebacker coach, Bo Davis, the defensive line coach, Blake Gideon's the safety coach, and Terry Joseph is the pass game coordinator. So I think you have a hell of a crew, a hell of a group of defensive coaches, man, moving forward to the season, and I think they are teachers and developers. I think that's what's important. I think that's what Texas has been missing the most is development and teaching.
So I got a point for Glenn and Travis. They're talking about, I think Glenn said that they would love to have seen both quarterbacks being orange. I think the days of the winning team getting a steak dinner and the losing team eating hot dogs is over. So I would love to see, like I said, he might start the game in white, but again, you put a burnt orange jersey on, if you send him out there with the first team offensive line, I think that's what helps you get better, is to see how they perform behind who they would perform in a ball game. Like I said, put him, both Casey and Hudson, behind Jake Majors in that number one unit for a drive or two to see how they separate themselves. Because again, if you're putting them behind the twos, one of those quarterbacks, then you're probably not going to get to see them at their maximum potential. And I think that's what tomorrow should be about, is changing that jersey, or hey, just because you're wearing that white jersey, get behind that orange offensive line and go to work. Don't know if that's what they're going to do, but would love to see that. Because again, this day tomorrow is about individual growth. At the same time, PK is going to be able to look and see what schemes are not going to work, or what he might need to modify on the defensive side. Same thing with Sarkisian on the offensive side. But tomorrow's about individual growth, taking that winter conditioning, these 15 practices in these new systems, and seeing how these kids perform. So put them in that best chance to, as you do each and every game day in the fall, put them in that best chance to succeed.
I just want to answer this question, Glenn Keller's question, because it actually crossed my mind probably about 3 or 4 days ago. He's talking about lots of coaches on the staff will eventually become head coaches. I don't think that's the case. I think you're stuck with a Pete Kwiatkowski. I think Pete Kwiatkowski would have been a head coach a long time ago if he wanted to be a head coach. That's just me. I think he is happy being a defensive coordinator. Jeff Choate just came from being a head coach. Would he take another head coach probably at a larger school? Maybe. Bo Davis has been a defensive line coach for so long at this particular point, and he's gone from NFL to college, to NFL back to college. I don't see Bo Davis wanting to be a head coach. And then on the opposite side of the ball, you had Kyle Flood, who's already been a head coach at Rutgers. It may not be in the best interest that they do this. And that's what I like about this coaching staff too, is that they have a lot of experience, but I don't think they're going to run off and leave you after 1 or 2 seasons, 3 seasons. I think these guys are going to stick around for a while and enjoy coaching and developing at the level in which they're coaching. I can't even see Jeff Banks becoming a head coach. AJ Milway's so young at this particular point. It's just best for him to get mentored as a quarterback coach for multiple years before he probably decides to take on, I think Arkansas State, he was supposed to be the offense coordinator at Arkansas State, and turned it down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To come be the quarterback's coach. I think it's about mentorship. So, and same thing for Blake. Blake Gideon's so young at this particular point. The chances of him walking out, 1 or 2 seasons, he's went from special teams to being a coach, on the field, position coach. So a lot of growth here. I just don't see these guys leaving, after 2 or 3 years, man. I really don't see Pete Kwiatkowski. Him and Sarkisian might be living together for the next 5, 10, 15 years until he decides to retire.
And they're program developers. Like you said, they've been in places where they were able to grow the program from the ground up. And again, Texas hasn't been, aside from competing against Georgia and beating them in the Sugar Bowl, haven't been in that New Year's Six conversation, in that CFP conversation each and every year for a while. So I could definitely see this staff staying together until they make that consistently. And if you can continue to bring your offensive mind and Steve Sarkisian and your defensive mind and Pete Kwiatkowski back, I think you could supplement here and there if a young Blake Gideon decides to take a defensive coordinator job, or a young AJ Milway decides to go be an offensive coordinator. But those guys that have been head coaches, Kyle Flood, you talked about Jeff Choate, I think they make enough money and are happy in the city of Austin at this point in time that like you said, I think they could be there for a while, and continue to grow this program to where it needs to go.
Yeah, I was going to say something. So back to this, really going to the, there's a lot of offensive line conversation on here. I'm excited to see Logan Parr at center. I know, I think he's going to play. I think he's second team because Guillermo's out, so he's playing right behind Jake Majors. I'm excited to see Logan Parr. And there's I think a few freshmen, man, that have an opportunity to really step up tomorrow on that offensive line as well. But going back to this all access, Kyle Flood doesn't play, man. You show up to practice on time and show up already dressed. That to me, that's important. So we'll see, man. I can tell you that, was it Donald Hawkins, who's on Twitter a lot, who produces, individuals like Andre Carrick and a couple of other guys out of the DFW area that he's down there as a trainer for. Kyle Flood did his little introduction the other day, and they put out his Twitter, man. He said he couldn't said it any better. This is the way that you teach these guys and develop these guys to be, offensive linemen, man. And so I think it's going to take some time. I think the length and the size they're looking for, as far as, in girth of these offensive linemen, is probably going to be different moving forward. But because they're going to have to put a whole bunch of weight on the guys they currently have on campus, which they've done with Junior Angalau. He was been playing under 300 pounds, and now it's up to like 315, 320 pounds. And instead of playing left guard, now he's playing right guard. So I want to see how they do that too, man. I think there's going to be some interchanging parts tomorrow on the ones with the line. So we'll kind of see who they play. Do they play Christian Jones at left tackle, and then do they switch him and Andre Carrick, and then they put Andre Carrick at left tackle and Christian Jones at right tackle, and do they how do they do that? And then obviously set what will the sets look like? Two tight end sets, one side tight end set. What do they bring Jordan Whittington out of the backfield at all? They put him in the back with the back. So I think that to me tomorrow is really important. But we'll see what this offensive line looks like. Probably one of my concerns moving into the summer, but definitely see what it looks like tomorrow in the spring game.
Very excited.
How many guys, man? How many guys? I'd like to know, man, if anybody on here out of the 52 people are going to be going to the spring game tomorrow, man. Really excited to if you want to hang out and talk and stuff before the game. We definitely like it. So if anybody on here out of the 52 people, let me know.
I'm gonna talk about Jeff Kaminsky's comment.
Yeah,
quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that is important. That is important, man. It's fundamentals, like don't jump off sides, and if you do make mistakes in the game, you're accountable for those mistakes. But yes, definitely with Sark's program and his play calling, there's a lot of formations you're probably going to see in the fall. Not so sure you're going to see them tomorrow, but you're absolutely right. Misalignments. Wrong routes by the receivers, guys lining up in the right positions, and then, like you said, of course, penalties. Very important.
Yeah, because I think, Kyle Flood talked about that a little bit. He talked about, them being able to do the job. Technique, he's seen the technique get better since he's been there, right? That technique stuff. It's the misalignment or the misblock, or you went to the,
hands in the
you
wrong
were supposed
spot
to do this, but you did the hand, I think that's important as well. Let's get the technique down, and then details matter. It takes you from good to great. I think
that's exactly what he said.
Good to great, man. Is yeah. So. Working man's excited about Ray Thornton.
That's what's good. That's what's going to tell tomorrow. Like I feel like that we probably have 6 or 7. Jake Majors, Derek Kerstetter, Junior Angalau, Denzel Okafor, Christian Jones, Isaiah Hookfin, Tyler Johnson. Clint talked about Logan Parr. Interested in seeing our guy Hayden Connor compete tomorrow. There's 6 or 7 guys I think that are quality offensive linemen. It's like Clint said, do they have the technique? Can they get the technique down? Are they going to be consistent? Again, they're going to go up against a hell of a D line core at UT that's going to make them better each and every practice. They got a top of the line offensive line coach. So I think they have two factors there that will continue to grow them. So at this point, like you said, there's a lot of stars in that room. But I think we could probably get this group to 7 or 8 that I trust during game day, to where somebody need to come out or move over. And that's a lot of, I think Rod Baker's talked about that this week on 104.9, the cross training that Kyle Flood has them doing. Like you say, Logan Parr moving inside to play center. Cross training allows you more, and you guys know this, more flexibility, position flex, which allows you to have, you want to have depth, but you don't have to have as much depth that guys can do multiple things.
Yeah. So, Scott Sheridan, I don't mind mistakes. I want to see guys learn from them. Yeah, they're going to definitely have mistakes tomorrow. That, without a doubt, it's how you clean those mistakes up. The closer you get to the fall, the closer you get to that University of, obviously game 1 against, University of Louisiana. It's, to me, and I don't want to go back to last season and under the old regime, but some of those penalties that cost you 15 yards after a play, and you can't do that, man. Disciplined teams don't do those things. Fumbling on the 1-yard line, disciplined teams don't do those. But you hope you put yourself in a situation where none of your games are close enough for one play to matter. But at the same time, discipline is number one. Definitely going to make mistakes, but I think as long as they clean those up. Cody Phillips asked, we talked about that a little bit on the live last time. Where does Davian Sanders play once he gets on the 40 acres? Me and Jeremy, at this particular point, I would say almost, I think we're in agreement with this. Defense side of the ball, because where we're at currently with Juan Davis and Gunnar Ham in the tight end room with Malcolm Epps and Jared Wiley and Brewer, man, I think you got to. I was looking at Gunnar Ham today, man, on video. Dude's big, man. He's a boxy tight end, man. He's one of those Big Ten tight ends, man, that you see that wreck shop on Saturdays. So it wouldn't surprise me if that guy doesn't move up the depth chart really, really fast. And then I forgot, obviously Braden Liebrock, man, out of Arizona. So you got 7 or 8 guys in that tight end room, man, that they could play significant time, probably. So I think your defensive ends right now is probably lack depth, depending on what you get moving forward in the summer if transfers come in. But yeah, definitely defensive end for me, Davian Sanders moving forward, probably. So.
Agreed. Definitely believe you should start out at defensive end again. Yes, you do have Jacoby Jones, do have Ray Thornton. Would like to see, saw some Prince Dorva today in that special on Longhorn Network, the All Access. 32 looks like he's put on some weight. So real another player I'm interested to see get some time tomorrow. Jaylen Ford, again, with his comments saying, hey, they don't throw my way, interested to see him tomorrow. Hullaby, interested to see him tomorrow. So there's players out there that don't have a whole lot of experience or didn't get a whole lot of experience last year that I think have a lot of upside that I'm really going to have my eye on. Like you said, the tight end 85, Helm, Juan Davis 81. I'll definitely make a list for myself on a piece of paper of who I'm looking to that we saw a little bit of last year, or incoming freshmen that we think we're going to see some plays from tomorrow and see what happens.
I'm not sure, and I may be mistaken, they may help me out here, but I want to say that maybe Hullaby is one of the 4 that are out tomorrow with Girmay. I think there's a few more, but I think Hullaby may be out tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Tomorrow.
I did see the injury report in a tweet. But David Benda, another guy that I'd really like to see tomorrow as well.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. Jaylen Ford, David Benda. Those are guys playing linebacker moving forward, man. Travis Atkins said, I wish I could watch the game, but I live out of state. We'll try to find a way to watch it. There's probably some streams out there, Travis, man. If you type in Longhorn Network free stream, there'll probably be something that probably pops up. You could probably watch that, probably watch the spring game on that.
I was just trying to see if I could pull up an injury report real quick, but
I think Travis Atkins talking about, I want to see Hayden Connor, future starter there. I think Hayden Connor is going to get some play with the twos tomorrow. I think he's one of those freshmen that's probably going to get plays with the twos. He's a big dude. He's
Yeah,
big, man. He's huge. He's huge, man. And that's the guys that they want, man. He's smart too. He's smart, man. So as a freshman coming in, and probably, having to go to school, and he's probably, he's trying to be, aeronautical engineer guy, I think is what it was.
yeah.
And work for NASA at some particular point. So he's probably taking on some work, some work, over this last semester of school. But I think he's smart enough to pick up this offense, man, and I think he'll have an opportunity to get some run with the Deuce tomorrow. So definitely excited about Hayden. We've had an opportunity to talk to Hayden on this channel. Really, really like him, man. Really good dude, man. He will talk your ear off. Definitely excited to see him tomorrow. Yeah, Hulaby is
Interesting.
out with a knee injury tomorrow. Yeah.
Somebody asked what matchups we were looking forward to most. Interior line versus D line. Again, the Coburn Sweats. I think Chibandre is out as well with like a foot or something. But interior line versus D line. And then I want to see, too bad 21's in a green shirt, but I want to see Whittington versus any defensive back or cornerback. See what he looks like. He's leaned up a lot. And then, yeah, Dorian made an appearance. Excited to see Roshan tomorrow. Bijan tomorrow. But yeah, so yeah, probably Whittington versus a corner, interior line versus interior defensive line. And then, yeah, watching BJ Foster and Jerry Thompson patrol the middle of the field tomorrow is some things I'm going to be watching.
So you said interior. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna go defensive ends versus tackles. To me, that's important. Defensive versus tackles. Defensive end versus tackles is to me, it's probably what I'm looking at. Obviously, Christian Jones versus Ray Thornton. Carrick probably versus depending on who's playing at right tackle. Carrick versus Jacoby Jones, because I'm excited about those two defensive ends. So we'll see how they manage those. The two deep or offensive tackles manage the two defensive ends, and the wide receivers create space. Can they create space? That's another one I'm looking at for tomorrow. Can they create space? Not going to worry about so much about the running backs. To me, that's probably where the interior offensive line, defensive line probably plays a part for me. Can they run block? Because obviously in this pro set offense under center, sometime offense that Sark's going to run, can we get downhill and run? Those are the two biggest things, man. But yeah, to me, can the wide receivers get space, and can the defensive ends, can the offensive tackles do some business against the defensive ends? Two biggest things for me, man.
And somebody talked about progressions. They're excited. Scott Sheridan talked about watching the quarterbacks read the progressions. That's a thing. How much pressure is the defensive line going to get on the quarterbacks? When's Sark going to blow the whistle? When's AJ Milway going to blow the whistle? But yeah, watching that all access again, watching Casey with his eyes up coming under center, because neither him nor Hudson have a whole lot of experience playing under center. Like you said, taking a 3-step, 5-step drop from under center, or looking at the running back first and whether he's open and going to that next read, which may be the tight end or an outside receiver. Yeah, definitely something to watch tomorrow. But interested to see how much time they get. Hopefully they get time to go through those progressions.
And Scott Sheridan asked, why do our wide receivers have so much trouble creating space? I don't get it, because I think it's all about alignment, and it's about putting your wide receivers in the best position to create space. Because you got to think about it. Quarterback only has about 3 seconds to get the ball off, if that. And it's all about timing. So you have to create space, and that's where you'll see a lot of that motion that they were doing with Devontae Smith at Alabama. The motion back and motion forward. And there was a clip they actually showed Alabama this week on Twitter, where he puts defenses in predicaments where they can't cover all the wide receivers in space, to include the tight ends. So I think it's really schematic. From a schematic standpoint, he's going to create space for his wide receivers. You do that. But obviously, if they're on line, they're on the line of scrimmage, and you're man on man with the cornerback, they got to get off those jams, man, and create that space themselves. What we got here? What we got from Dorian Johnson here, man? Just want to see the quarterbacks, wide receivers execute and see how disciplined the D is. Bijan breaking all those long runs and practice videos is good for him, but means the D is out of position. Yeah, run fits.
We talked about that, Dorian. Yeah, we you understand the complexity of the spring game. If a defensive lineman makes a sack, then the offensive lineman either didn't hold his block long enough or made a mistake technique wise. Yeah, exactly. So, but you're good to see those long runs. But like you said, you want guys to be in position to make plays. And like you said, you just want to see execution tomorrow, minimum mistakes. Again, like we talked about a little bit earlier, where they do make mistakes, they hold themselves accountable and correct them. Looking for individual growth tomorrow, because again, for one unit to be successful, that means the other unit may and may not have made the play they need to make. So look for individual growth. Like I said, take what you last saw against Colorado, see what they did in the weight room in the winter, see what these 15 practices have done for them, and that's the product you're going to see tomorrow. So hopefully you see every player that left the Colorado Alamo Bowl game get a little bit better, because that's what's going to take. You're not going to get good to great overnight. It's going to take incremental lessons learned to get them better and make them exactly where we want to see them.
Just want to say something to Dorian real quick, because we've had opportunity, and you see, obviously you talk to Roshan all the time. To me, it's when you see Roshan in these small clips, man, talking to the media, and then you see, Sarkisian talking about Roshan, and then you see these players talking about Roshan, man, that goes back to that year one selflessness, man. I was thinking about the other day, man, about that selflessness to team. And I think that made a big deal, not just for Roshan moving forward, but how this team moves forward. So I just want to shout out to Dorian, man, tell Roshan, man, that to me, that's number one before all, man, is being a student athlete and being a good leader moving forward, man. And every time that you hear these guys talk about Roshan, man, it's like he's a leader, man. He's a leader. They listen to that guy, man. So shout out to Roshan on that. And I just wanted to say that in front of Dorian, man, and give him his props, man.
And Dorian, of course, if you're going to be at the game tomorrow, please we'll shoot you a message. Please look us up. Please hit us up if you get a chance. We'd love to meet you. And really want to appreciate
SCW Media, man.
Go ahead.
$10 super chat here, man. Thank you for the content. Can't wait for tomorrow. Hell yeah, man. Burn orange glasses on at this particular point. I want to water it down a little bit, but again, once the season gets started, it's just really the start of the season tomorrow, man. This is when it gets going. I was actually, I text somebody today, and I was like, yeah, hey, it's been kind of slow for us, off season, like Cody Phillips was talking earlier, he took a little break during the off season. Man, I tell you what, once that really after today going into June, that 2 weeks of June, when those officials start happening, man, it's gonna pick up really, 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 really fast. There'll be a lot of content coming out. Me and Jeremy were talking today about maybe trying to get Mike Roach on here maybe once a month, so we'll reach out to him, see if we can do that as well, to give us some recruiting background, especially when it comes to officials over those months of June, and then really getting into July and summer, man. Then before you know it, it'll be September 1st, and we'll be playing football.
There's no off months. We discussed it. Yeah, we discussed it. So out of this comes, again, you got recruits coming to this ball game tomorrow. Malik Murphy's going to be there. I'm sure several other. Brian Allen's going to be there that we know of, and I'm sure there's several others. Katie 35 could catch us up with who's going to be there tomorrow. But you walk right out of this into, like you said, you start official visits in June. Transfer portal is going to be wide open, and kids are going to be going left and right. So, and next thing you know it, July is here, and we're prepping for an August summer camp. And folks were asking about Jake Smith. I believe Jake Smith will be back at the start of summer camp. If not, within a couple of weeks, I definitely feel like he'll be back before the fall season starts. So, yeah, guys worrying about whether he's going to be back. I believe he will be. But, yeah, the break is over. Texas Football Talk is back. And we'll see what comes out tomorrow. But, yeah, we're excited, man. Tomorrow's a big damn day. Texas baseball play a doubleheader against Oklahoma State. The girls volleyball team will be going for a national championship. Shout out to them. They shut a lot of people up this week. And then the spring game is going to be hopping. And then, like you say, right out of that becomes recruiting season number 1. And then we'll get after it.
Okay. So Dorian said he won't be there. He'll actually be in New Orleans tomorrow. Louisiana has some business to take care of New Orleans, Louisiana. He said, I'm excited. Coach Drayton called Pops and said that Suge finally looks like he's totally comfortable at running back, which is you're going from quarterback, and me and Jeremy don't call him a quarterback anymore. We call him, he's obviously a running back at this particular point, multiple years there, but it looks like he finally feels comfortable there. And I can tell you, man, he's a compliment to Bijan Robinson, man. You have two running backs, maybe a third, depending on how it plays out, but you have two running backs in Roschon and Bijan, man. That's a tandem. And anytime you can have a tandem in running back, because I think that's what they're going to lean on. First and foremost is going to be a rushing attack, which is going to lead to one-on-one opportunities in the passing game. And it's good, especially with Casey Thompson or Hudson Card, first-year quarterbacks. That you can have running backs at that caliber, but again, it all teeters on how the offensive line plays moving forward. And
Stan Drake's a hell of a lot better recruiting or talent evaluator than I was, but I watched Roschon Johnson against Oklahoma his freshman year. I thought he looked like a pretty good, comfortable running back then. We said it. He reminded us back then when we first started the show of a Alabama running back, like a kid the size of a Derrick Henry or a Quentin Richardson or, Najee Harris, big, strong back that is just killing it. I think our boy Jordan Thomas is in here.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
from Port Arthur. You got a story on our young man on 247 talking about that tenacity that he's going to bring to the 40 acres next year. We've seen it on film. We understand what's coming. Hope these offensive linemen understand what's coming in the summer. Great to see you, brother. But yeah, it looked like,
give a shout out to 2021
ready.
recruit Jordan Thomas, who's in here tonight. Really excited. I know he's excited to get on the 40 acres. Like you said, he put out a video this last week, man. Controlled aggression, and it looks really, 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 really good, man. So I appreciate you being on here tonight, man. Absolutely. So hook him, man. Hook him.
Is he going to be there tomorrow? You going to be there tomorrow?
Be there tomorrow? Jordan, let us know if you're going to be there tomorrow. We'll be there. Like to see you. Yeah, Scott Sheraton, great. You talking about 2,000 yards from our run back room. There's no reason that we shouldn't have. There's again, all teeters on the offensive line. How does the offensive line mesh? How do they do? But it would not surprise me. You should have combined total 2,000 yards in that running back room between Bijan and Roschon. Absolutely, no doubt.
He's going to be there. Very cool.
We'll send you a DM tomorrow, Jordan. Maybe have an opportunity to see you face to face tomorrow when we get there. I can tell you, me and Jeremy, I think we're going to arrive somewhere around about 11 o'clock or so. I think I'm meeting him in Round Rock at about 10:30 or so, and then we're going to drive in to the stadium. So we'll probably be there about 11:15, a little early. Probably walk around a little bit, and then just sit there and watch them practice from really 12 to 1, and then get ready for a spring game, man. Probably take a whole bunch of pictures.
Exciting for us. It's been the first. We didn't go to any ball games last year.
I'll be there. Horns up, man. Working man says you can't fight Rojo. Yeah, Rojo. He goes hard all the time, man. And to me, that's respect. That's what gains respect from your teammates, man. You don't have to be the loudest guy in the room, but if you show up and go to work every day, and you lead from the front and you do what's right, it's to me, it's like Casey Thomas, right? As soon as he found out that Steve Sarkisian was being hired, the text Chris Del Conte and say, "Hey, can you give me Sark's number? Because I need to find out where this playbook is, and what the offense we're going to run is." To me, that means a lot, man. That means that you are a program guy, man, that's trying to make this place better. And you can just see, to me, you can see the energy in the football team. You can see the energy in the football team, like all of them. It's just different.
I don't want to call out Jordan again, but in our first, maybe our second interview we had with him. He talked about that kind of ball player that comes from that golden triangle. Port Neches grows where Roschon Johnson, not to change the subject, but we're talking about dogs, right? And tenacity and how hard they work is from that same area. Again, his brother was a college football player and a pro, but that work ethic never left him. And that's why he was able to take that that tenacity and move it from the quarterback room to the running back room and pick up. And again, Stan Drake is a heck of a lot better talent evaluator at the running back position than I am. And he's talking about him being comfortable now. He looked very comfortable to me his freshman year against Oklahoma when he broke off a 60-yarder. I think he was the best running back in that football game. And that was before Bijan got on campus. It was Keontae Ingram and him, and he made it happen. So, but yeah, I love the way he.
But
plays.
I think, like you said, I think it goes back to one of our original videos. I think it goes back to one of those original videos where we talked specifically about Roschon and him looking like one of those Alabama running backs. The size that he was. And I think a lot of it has to do with vision, maybe vision from a running back versus playing the quarterback role. But then he came back because they asked him the question, how do the two quarterbacks look like? He said, from a quarterback to me, they look like they're focused. They're keyed in and they understand what they're supposed to do in this offense. So he kind of sees it from both sides. And to me, it's a running back that's playing, and I think he talked about this a little bit. He understands what the defenses are trying to do. I think that gives him a heads up being a quarterback. But yeah, man, what is it, man? These little snippets on Twitter got people going like foreplay. That's what Clint Keller said. Because they're good, man. But the excitement to me is not about the schematic stuff right now. It's about how the players are taking on these coaches, man, and how the program, how excited they are to have these coaches. It's just it's a different dynamic. It feels different. It feels way different.
And it's different. Again, all access. Watch the sideline, and there to meet him are Michael Huff, Sergio Kendall, and I don't remember who the third alumnus was that was on the sideline. But you continue to see great football players from the past continue to come back and feel welcome back into this program. You didn't see a whole lot of that over the past couple of years. What you're seeing now is like you said, the excitement is not only in the football field with the current roster, but the excitement has bled over into the former players, the former greats who continue to come back, because that's recruiting, man. When they see pros coming back that can help them and get in their ear or make pass for them as they leave the University of Texas, whether it be in a pro football capacity or in a business capacity, that means something. So yeah, just watching Adrian Phillips, just another pro, was on the sidelines. Like I said, Sergio Kendall was from our area in Dallas, and he was the #1 defensive player of the year. But I haven't seen him on the 40 acres in a while. Good to see him there. And again, somebody who's always there with the big guns is Michael Huff. He'll always be around. But yeah.
I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I can definitely hear it. I don't know if it's hailing outside or we got a significant severe thunderstorm. I know in San Antonio, if you live in the Austin area, you're probably dealing with it at the same time I am right now. And I think it's heading north towards Jeremy's house. Right now, so raining pretty good outside. Somebody said, y'all get some sleep. We'll be waiting for the video feed. Laugh out loud. So there won't be a video feed live tomorrow from the stadium. We will do a post game. We're going to get a post game after we get back to both locations. Obviously, I'm gonna head south to San Antonio. He's gonna head back to the Killeen area, Copper Cove area. So we'll try to get one in, but we're definitely gonna have to try to do it before the national championship game, football match at 8:00, because all people should be keyed in on that tomorrow, man. Texas volleyball is going for a national championship tomorrow, playing Kentucky at 8:00. Really, really exciting, man. So for those that are going to be at the game tomorrow, we'll put something on Twitter, maybe the location in which we're at, or somehow, or maybe just if you DM us, we'll figure out how it is. Or you just see us, man, come up and talk to us, man. We love to talk football. We love to meet you face to face. For those people that want to meet us face to face, definitely excited to do that. So for those that we'll see us tomorrow, we'll see you then. For those that don't, we'll probably give a recap of the game, of the spring game tomorrow. You got something you want to add before we get off here?
Well, I was just going to talk about so if we are able to do it, so game starts at 1, probably right at 2 hours. Transit time for me is a little bit shorter, I think, than yours, but probably home by 4:30. If everything went right, maybe a 6:30 to 7:30 show that would walk right into the national championship game. Again, no promises, only because we don't want to bring you a show that we're not prepared for. And again, watching it at the stadium, we're probably not going to have as good a notes as we have if we watched it at the stadium and came back and watched it again on film. But but would love, but definitely by Sunday with our Sunday scatter shoots might turn into just us talking about the game with you guys, and less scatter shoots and more just post game analysis that you guys saw that we saw to share. And it is
all right, man. I gotta see if it's hailing outside because I may have to put my vehicle in the garage. So, hey, we appreciate you listening as always. Again, we'll see you at the spring game tomorrow if you're there. If not, we'll catch you on the post game afterwards. You can find us on Twitter at TX Football Talk, on Instagram at TX Football Talk, and on Facebook at TX Football Talk. And you had something you want to add real quick, Jeremy?
Just subscribe,
Hey, if you have not hit that subscribe button, if you have not hit that like button, please hit that like button. We appreciate you as always, man. And y'all have a wonderful evening and hook 'em.
Hook 'em.